In 2001, a family living in a quiet, old stone farmhouse in the French countryside decided to renovate their basement. While working in a strange, empty third cellar, they knocked down a hollow-sounding wall. But behind it was not bedrock. It was a dark, dust-choked secret room, a hidden chamber that had been sealed and forgotten since the darkest days of the Second World War. What they found inside would reveal that their peaceful family home had a heroic and dangerous secret past. It had once been a vital secret arsenal and command post for the brave men and women of the French Resistance. To understand the immense significance and the danger of this discovery, we must first travel back to one of the darkest chapters in French history. The year is 1940. The armies of Nazi Germany have swept across France in a matter of weeks. The French government has collapsed, and the northern half of the country, including Paris, is under direct German military occupation. It was a time of profound national humiliation, fear, and desperation. But in the midst of this darkness, small sparks of defiance began to ignite. This was the birth of La Résistance, the French Resistance. It did not begin as a single, unified army. It began as a collection of small, scattered groups of ordinary, incredibly brave citizens. Teachers, farmers, shopkeepers, and students who refused to accept defeat. They began with simple acts, writing anti-German graffiti on walls, secretly listening to Charles de Gaulle's defiant radio broadcasts from London, and helping to hide downed Allied airmen. But these small acts of defiance soon grew into a sophisticated and deadly underground war. The resistance evolved into a network of secret cells that engaged in a wide range of clandestine operations. They gathered vital intelligence on German troop movements and fortifications, which they would then transmit to the Allies in London. They carried out acts of sabotage, blowing up railway lines, cutting telephone cables, and disrupting the flow of supplies to the German war machine. And they published secret, underground newspapers to combat Nazi propaganda and keep the spirit of a free France alive. But this was an incredibly dangerous war. The resistance was fighting not only the German Gestapo, but also the Milice, a brutal French collaborationist militia. To be a member of the resistance was to live with constant threat of betrayal, capture, torture, and summary execution. Their survival depended on absolute secrecy and on a network of hidden safe houses, secret caches, and ordinary-looking places that could serve as the nerve centers for their shadow war. A crucial lifeline for the resistance came from across the English Channel. The British Special Operations Executive, or SOE, was a top-secret organization tasked by Winston Churchill with a simple, audacious mission to set Europe ablaze. The SOE would parachute their own agents and, crucially, thousands of tons of equipment into occupied France under the cover of darkness. This equipment was dropped in large, cylindrical canisters into remote fields where it would be collected by local resistance fighters. These canisters were a treasure trove of the tools of sabotage and rebellion. They contained plastic explosives for destroying bridges, simple but effective submachine guns like the British Sten gun, pistols, grenades, and, just as importantly, powerful suitcase-sized radio sets for communicating with London and portable printing presses for their underground newspapers. Finding a secure and secret place to hide this massive amount of dangerous equipment was one of the greatest challenges the resistance faced. An old, unassuming farmhouse with a deep stone cellar and a loyal, patriotic owner was the perfect location for a secret arsenal. Our story now returns to the 21st century, to the DuPont family. In the late 1990s, they had bought a beautiful but dilapidated old stone farmhouse in the Normandy countryside, hoping to escape the city and live a quieter life. For years, they undertook a slow and loving renovation of the property. The house had a strange architectural quirk. It had 3 cellars. 2 of them were normal, used for storing wine and preserves. But the third cellar was different. It was smaller, isolated from the others, and had always been completely empty. There was a wall at the back that sounded strangely hollow when they tapped on it. For years, they had assumed it was just a strange feature of the old house. In 2001, during a new phase of their renovation, the father of the family decided to finally investigate the hollow wall. He took a sledgehammer and, with a few cautious taps, made a small hole. He shone a flashlight inside. It was not a small void, it was a room, a hidden, secret room. Filled with excitement, he and his family spent the next hour carefully breaking down the rest of the wall. When the opening was finally large enough to step through, they entered a chamber that had been hidden from the world for nearly 60 years. The room was dark and choked with the dust and cobwebs of decades, and as their eyes adjusted, they saw that it was not empty. It was filled with dozens of dusty, oilcloth-wrapped parcels, a strange-looking suitcase, and several large, heavy machines covered by a rotting tarp. They had just stumbled upon a lost and forgotten secret of the Second World War. With their hearts pounding, the DuPont family cautiously stepped into the hidden room. As their eyes adjusted, they began to take in the details of the secret chamber. It was filled with dozens of long, heavy parcels. There was a large, heavy-duty suitcase, and in the corner, a pair of large, strange-looking machines covered by a rotting canvas tarp. The father approached the nearest parcel. With trembling hands, he began to unwrap it. The oilcloth was stiff and cracked with age. It was a British Sten gun, the iconic submachine gun of the Second World War. A wave of shock and confusion washed over the family. One after another, they revealed the tools of a shadow war. There were pistols, boxes of ammunition, and several heavy, pineapple-shaped Mills bomb hand grenades. In one of the larger parcels, they found blocks of a strange, putty-like substance wrapped in paper. It was plastic explosive. They looked at the strange suitcase. It wasn't filled with clothes. It was a complete, portable Mark IIB radio transmitter and receiver, the type used by Allied spies and resistance cells to communicate with London. And finally, they pulled the tarp off the heavy machines. They were small, manual printing presses, and next to them were cans of ink and stacks of yellowed, blank paper. They were not standing in a simple hidden cellar. They had just stumbled upon a secret, fully equipped French resistance arsenal and propaganda office. Realizing the immense danger of the live 60-year-old explosives, the family immediately and carefully backed out of the room and called the police. The news of the discovery of a secret resistance cache sent a jolt of excitement through the local community and the authorities. A team of démineurs, the French Army's expert bomb disposal unit, was dispatched to the farmhouse. They carefully and professionally removed the unstable, decades-old grenades and explosives to be safely detonated. With the danger removed, a team of local historians and museum curators was allowed to enter the secret room, and as they examined the artifacts, they were able to piece together the incredible, heroic story of the house. The experts confirmed that the equipment was a classic SOE, or Special Operations Executive, airdrop. They explained that this farmhouse, due to its remote location in the Normandy countryside, was the perfect safe house. It had almost certainly served as a major, multi-purpose hub for a local resistance network in the years leading up to the D-Day landings of 1944. The weapons were not just for one or two fighters. A cache of this size was meant to arm an entire group of local Maquis, the rural guerrilla fighters of the resistance, for sabotage operations and to assist the Allies when the invasion finally came. The radio would have been their lifeline to London, used to transmit vital intelligence on German troop movements and to receive coded action messages broadcast by the BBC. And the printing presses were for creating their own underground newspapers, a crucial tool for keeping hope alive and countering the enemy's propaganda. The investigation into the property's history revealed the names of the family who had owned the farm during the war. They were, by all accounts, simple, hard-working farmers, but they had been living a secret, incredibly dangerous double life. Every night, they had risked summary execution and the destruction of their entire family to do their part in the fight for a free France. The historians concluded that after the successful D-Day landings and the liberation of Normandy, the surviving members of the resistance cell had likely sealed the room. In the chaos of post-war France, with many different political factions vying for control, being in possession of a massive illegal arsenal was still dangerous. They likely sealed the wall, intending to come back for the equipment later, but for reasons lost to time, they never did. The house was eventually sold, and its heroic secret was sealed away, waiting for a new family, a hollow wall, and a sledgehammer to bring its story back into the light. The DuPont family's home was now recognized as a site of historical importance. All of the incredible artifacts, the deactivated Sten guns, the radio, the printing presses were carefully removed and donated to a local museum dedicated to the history of the French resistance, where they are now on display as a testament to the courage of the ordinary people who fought the Shadow War. For the DuPont family, their simple renovation project had turned into a profound journey into the past. They were no longer just the owners of an old stone house. They were the custodians of a powerful legacy, a story of incredible bravery, sacrifice, and the quiet, hidden heroism that lay just beneath the surface of their peaceful, everyday lives.